Well, we have a jam-packed evening for everyone, and we're going to start it off. The first tutorial is going to be Kimberly with her alcohol ink round on black. And then at around 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Kellie's going to be doing her loose watercolor floral. And then in the last hour, I'm going to be doing my acrylic ink on canvas. And at the end of each presentation or tutorial, we'll do a giveaway for free access to online classes by each of us. Does anybody have any questions before we get started?
You got your drinks. I see somebody's got her drink. Here, got her drink. Good for you. Everybody's got drinks. Where's
Cheers.
mine? I was gonna have a margarita, but then I thought maybe I shouldn't do that.
Why not?
Started with one.
And why did you think that, Kellie?
Well, because I may not be able to paint if I'm a lightweight. I have one, and it's like my son's 23 and makes fun of me all the time.
I paint much better. All right. Well, I don't see any new messages coming in, and I think probably people would have gotten on now. But I'm going to keep an eye on it just in case.
I just saw a message pop up from someone saying, "Okay, Patty. Can you put that link? Wait a minute. Should I just give her the link that we used? Is that okay to give her that one?"
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do it in Messenger, that should work.
Because she just sent me a message. So let me real quick just go ahead and give that to her.
Sure thing.
I'm just going to go in and double check my messages here too on Facebook.
So the people that are on screen, just a little show of hand, are you going to be painting along with each one?
Yes, each one.
Fine. Sometimes, because I've taken these from other people, and sometimes I do, and sometimes I just like to watch. And then I go back and watch it again and paint.
We're painting along too.
Awesome.
Good.
All right, you sent her the link?
I sent her the link. So just, if you don't mind, just keep an eye out for her.
Yep.
Okay.
What's your name?
Patty.
Okay.
And she received it. So hopefully that works for her.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready?
Right. Then we're going to get started with Kimberly. And I am going to, while you're doing the demo, I'm going to spotlight you just so that you're, large and everybody can see what you're doing. And then maybe midpoint or maybe just at the end, then we'll go around and spotlight if anybody else wants to show what they created. How does that sound?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to just keep an eye on my messages for a second to make sure that she doesn't write me back. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move my camera down and we'll get started.
Oh, I think she's here, Pat.
I see her. I just admitted her.
Here she is. Okay. Yay.
Yay.
Welcome, Patty.
All right. So as I said in the description, I'm going to be working on this round black synthetic paper, and we're using alcohol ink, and this is Evo synthetic paper. And I don't know, it's probably showing up backwards, but anyway, Nara also has round black synthetic paper, but either one of these work just fine. I think the Evo is a little bit cheaper, and that's the one I put the link to on the supply list. And you can use either side of it. And I think most of you probably are familiar with alcohol ink, but if you're not, just a couple of quick little things about alcohol ink. It is a transparent dye. So when you're working on black, if you don't use something white with it, then it's just going to kind of seep into the background. You won't be able to see it at all. So I'll be using Snowcap, which is the white mixative. And I have a purple vineyard that I'm going to use for just some detail work. My main color for this painting is going to be wild plum. But again, use whatever colors you like, because this can be done with any colors. But what I normally think about when I'm going to kind of come up with the composition for the painting is I pick one color usually. Sometimes I get a little bit wild with my colors. I mean, you all have seen me paint Susie and Barb and Julie, all of you, Karen. Sometimes I use a lot of colors. For this particular one, I decided to use one kind of main color, and then I'm going to use my other colors kind of as accents. So my main color is going to be this wild plum, which is kind of a pinkish purple. And I'll be using, again, snow cap with that so it shows up. And then I have a yellow and a green that I'll use along with this to kind of create some, like a vine or some stems, leaves, whatever you want to call them. All right, and I'm using canned air. This is some kind of off-brand here. I don't have the kind that I usually use, but this is going to work fine. And I'll kind of explain a little bit about the canned air as I go along. If you've worked with alcohol ink, and you probably have used canned air before, but I'll explain it a little bit for anybody who hasn't. All right, so I'm thinking a little bit about my composition, and I'm going to try and have sort of a focal point right here in one area of my painting, maybe 3 larger blooms right here, and then I'm going to have it kind of trail off in sort of a vine that kind of circles around, because, working on this circular shape, I'm trying to come up with something that looks kind of pleasing to the eye. So I'll have sort of a focal point with some larger blooms, and then I'm going to try to put some like little buds or smaller blooms that kind of wrap around the painting a little bit. All right, are we ready? And if I go too fast or you get, kind of behind, just let me know, because, I'm used to speed painting, in our 15-minute, like, make time to create. So if I start going too fast, just say, hey, can you slow down for a second? We're not speed dating tonight. So, all right, so I'm just going to put a drop of this wild plum down, just a little bit there, and then a drop of my snow cap right on top of it. And I'm just going to give that a little burst of air. So that's our first little petal there. And I hope the lighting is okay. I hope you can see that okay. All right. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to kind of maybe start out with 3 petals on this one. I may end up opening it up to a full bloom, but I like to just kind of see how things shape up when I put my inks down, and then decide what kind of flower, what shape I want it to be. So there's another little petal. Let's do one over here. A drop of snow cap. And when you're using, and that one needed a little bit more air. When you're using canned air, just remember not to ever shake this, and try not to lean it completely on its side horizontal, because the more you disturb that fluid that's on the inside, the harder it is to manage it. And it could start to blow out fluid, or the can get really, really cold. Sometimes you can't even hold on to it because it freezes up and gets kind of icy on the outside. So it's best if you can hold it at least up to maybe 45 degrees off the table. Sometimes you might have to sort of like hang it off the edge of the table a little bit so you can hold it upright a little bit more. That's where we're going to start with that one. And I think with this one, I might make this a full open bloom. And one other thing about this is when you're working on black and you're putting down your ink and your snow cap together, the more snow cap you add, of course, the lighter your petals are going to be, and the more transparent they're going to be. So, or the more color you put down, kind of the more, the darker it's going to be. So you can really control how light your petals are. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and make this one a full open bloom. And I like to turn my paper around when I'm working, just because I kind of get in the habit of where it's more comfortable to hold the canned air. And so instead of like moving my arm all around the table and trying to get in the right position, I turn my paper around so I can kind of keep can in the same position all the time. Just kind of helps me. All right, that's our first. We're going to start with that, and I might, change this up a little bit later. And then I'm going to try and put maybe 2 other ones that are a little larger right here in this area. Make sure I'm still on the screen here. All right, I'm still using this wild plum. So I'm putting another little dot down, a little drop of snow cap. And I'm just gonna make this one maybe a little bit smaller over here. And put one right over here. And these are gonna, turn out, every time you do it, it's gonna look different. I might think I'm gonna have it the same way that I did my last one, but with alcohol ink, it's hard to really tell how things are gonna turn out. So I'm gonna add another little petal right here. And with the canned air too, you want to get the straw really, really close to the paper when you're using it and just give it little tiny bursts of air. So you don't ever want to just like lay down on it and just squeeze it so that, you get this long stream of air, because that's when it will also start to freeze up. You just want to give it these little, I don't know if you can hear that. Zoom sometimes blocks out the sound, but just little pumps, little small pumps of air. All right, so once I've gotten, this one, I think I'm going to change it a little bit. I think I'm going to do a little something right here to kind of bring that one up that way. So now I've got 3 sort of little blooms right here. And what I'm going to do now is just sort of add some little stems or something to give me an idea of where I want the rest of my painting to go. So I'm going to, is everybody still there?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks good.
I'm in my own little world here. So I'm putting some green in my palette. This is one of my favorite greens. This is Everglades. And I'm going to go ahead and add some snow cap in my palette with that green. And you really just have to, you have to do it, by feel, really. It's hard to say how many drops of anything. You just want to put it in there and mix it up a little bit until you get a good sort of opaque color where it's going to show up on the black. And I'm using this little silicone tool. I put this in the description of the supply list too. This is really a clay sculpting tool, but I use it a lot with my alcohol ink because it's, silicone on the end and it's really flexible. So if you want to really loosen up, it really forces you to loosen up when you're painting with it more so than a brush, because it's got that end that kind of bends around when you press it down. I'll show you. So let's just say I've got this one coming from this area. Right now, I'm just going to give myself an idea of where I want everything to be. I'm still trying to make sure I'm still on the camera there. All right, so I've just put some ink right on the end of this, and I'm just going to kind of twirl it around. And this, is really flexible, so you can just get in there and create a lot of movement with this. And this kind of, connects everything. So what I'm hoping to have is just kind of a focal point, and then everything kind of trails around and kind of tapers off at the end. Do I need to slow down? Is everybody there with me?
Nope, that's good.
Okay. All
There
right.
aren't any, there aren't any questions popping up, so
Okay.
good.
All
I feel like
right.
you're a racehorse, Kimberly.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I feel like you're a racehorse. I'm trying to keep up.
Sorry.
She doesn't need a whole hour. She'll have this done in 30 minutes.
No, not quite.
Awesome.
All right, so I'm just gonna add some little shapes in here with this tool. I love this tool. It's probably the one I use more than anything. Even I use it so much that the end of it pops out all the time. And I have to cram it back in there. And also if you get some of these, they come in different shapes and different sizes. I use this one too, which is a smaller version. So it's just a tiny, tiny one, but it gives you the same kind of shapes. You just get some smaller little designs with it. All right. So to create smaller buds, I'm going to put my ink in my palette, because when I drop it from the bottle onto my paper, I'm going to get a little bit more than I would want to create something kind of small. So I'm going to put it in my palette, go ahead and add some snow cap to it, and then use one of my micro tools, applicator tools. These are designed to be dental tools or makeup tools, but they're great for alcohol ink. I use them all the time. And then I'm just going to use this just to put my ink down, just a little dot there. And then I'm just going to blow it out with canned air, like a little burst. And then you can get some smaller little buds going. And if you want these to be lighter, just add more snow cap to them. If you want them to be, a little darker, then just add more ink to your palette. So I'm just going to continue around this and kind of maybe blow these in some different directions, because the look that I'm going for is just kind of a sort of a vine with little buds hanging off of it. Make that one a little 3-petal type of thing there. Do a little something up in that area. So this is just where you get to just decide, how you want it to look. This is now up to your imagination, just to get in there and play with it and kind of come up with your own composition. If you wanted to do another color, you could. If you want to mix another color in there, if you wanted to, at this point you could do a little purple or yellow, whatever you wanted to do. I'm going to stay with this pink color, but then I'm going to add some small accents of the other colors. I'm going to put a little bud up there to kind of pull things up in that direction. Is it working for everybody? Those of you who are painting, things working out? Does anybody want to say?
They're very focused. Their heads are down and they're working hard.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had some interesting experiences going on here.
working.
Good. All right, so this just gives me kind of a starting point. And the way I'll probably arrange this is, I don't know. I may have it sort of like this. I don't know. It might change a little bit as I start adding more detail in there. I'm going to go back to my green and just make sure that I've got everything kind of connected together. All these little buds that I just put in. I'm going to just go back and make sure that everything is attached in some way, that I don't have anything floating out there in space. And then I like to also put some snow cap in my palette and add a little bit of that in there too. You know, with this green, it just adds a little bit of, you know, some highlight. And you can twirl it around. And just, like I said, this tool just kind of forces you to get kind of loose with it, which is a good thing with alcohol ink because, you know, it's such a fluid medium that it's kind of nice to see things when they're super loose. And this adds some like really random shapes, and so it's a great tool.
Kimberly,
Yes.
yeah, I like those silicone tools as well.
Uh-huh.
I have one small one, but I also have like one like really big, fat, big one
Uh-huh.
to really like push the inks around on the paper. And it's just so freeing because
It is.
not like a paintbrush where, I mean, you don't have any control with alcohol inks anyway, but you really don't have any control when you're just pushing them around instead of
That's right.
using them
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. All right. So let's now, if we're at a place that we can move forward a little bit, is everybody in a good spot? Or do you need more time to work on those little balloons? Because I want to put some detail in the middle of these flowers. And I want everybody to be able to kind of stay with me on it if you're able to.
Okay.
All right. I've got some Vineyard, which is a dark purple. I'm going to put a little bit of that in my palette and add some snow cap to that too. Because again, when you're working on black, you got to make sure that you change your ink from transparent to opaque, you know, so it shows up on your black. So that's just a little Vineyard with some snow cap added in. And I'm going to add a little bit of that in the middle of this flower here. This one, I'm going to leave it sort of a side view, but this one I'm going to have maybe some little stamens that come up, and I want to add a little darkness in there so it looks like there's some depth. And then I'm going to go into my snow cap and still using the same tool. And it'll create these little dots for you, like, which look, you know, kind of irregular. So if you're using a micro tool, which you could always use these for the dots too, but sometimes you'll get shapes that look very round. With this little tool, you can get shapes that are more irregular. And then I might just go ahead and make that one a little bigger. Give it some energy in there. And then this one, I pulled some little stamens. I'm going to add some little dots there. But what that, you know, make time to create, that has done to me is made me paint even faster than I used to.
You didn't think that was possible, did you?
No. I mean, has it done that to you too? Like all of a sudden,
Yes.
like a fast painter.
Yes. Sometimes I have to slow down. I'm like, okay, this isn't a 15-minute make time to create.
I
I
know.
need to spend some time.
All right, I'm going to take a second to wipe my glasses off because I've got some pink alcohol ink on the lens and I can't see through them. Wow. I don't know when that happened, but I thought my eye was bleeding or something. I
Oh
was seeing
no.
pink when I looked forward. Okay. All right. And so I want to introduce another color here. I know I've got a tiny bit of purple, but you don't really see it a whole lot. But I think yellow is going to be the color that will make this sort of pop. It's a good accent color. So I'm putting that in my palette. And again, adding a little bit of snow cap to it. And see, that was lemonade. So let's mix that up. And I'm going to go back to, I'll go use one of these little tools this time. I have a message up there that says, it sounds like you might have switched to a different language. Please update so we can provide better quality transcription. Did you see that?
No,
I
what's
was
that
speaking
on?
a different language. It must be my Southern accent.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
That's weird.
All right, so I have a little bit of yellow on my tool, and I'm just going to add some little dots in there just for fun. Just add some, a little more interest to it.
What a difference that makes.
Yeah, and you can see that the yellow is going to blend in sometimes with the background color, so it looks a little peachy in there where it's mixing in with that pink in the background. So it's kind of cool looking. And then I'm just going to pop some of that around in some other areas here. And just be super loose with it. And I do get, I'm one of those, some people are less is more. I'm always, more is more. I always go a little bit overboard sometimes with my paintings because I enjoy this part of just adding a lot of detail. So we're just splattering some of that in there. And then I think I'll add a little purple in there too. Oh, I went back to the yellow again. Let's see, purple. Put some purple. And the purple is, it's a darker color, so it's not going to show up as much as the yellow does, but it still is going to add, a little detail in there. All right.
Looking pretty.
Thank you. And I'm just going to continue to highlight this. If you let this center of these flowers dry a little bit more, your white will show up a little bit better. But when it's wet underneath, like mine is still a little bit wet, that white's going to kind of fade away and it'll take on that color that's behind it. But I'm just going back over it and just adding a few more highlights here and there. Might add some little dots of white. And then
I think it's really pretty when it blends in with the color that's behind it.
yeah,
You
I do
come up
too.
with unexpected shades and things.
Yeah, you really do. Yeah. But this is the kind of thing, you could really just play with it for a long, long time until you just really get something that's, you could make this very simple or you could just make it over the top, which I tend to go, a little bit over the top with mine.
That's a Southern thing, I think.
Is it? All right, so I'm just adding a little more detail, just twirling the tool around. But that's the basic idea. Trying to see if there's anything else I wanted to do with this. I might just throw some little pink dots in there too.
Does anybody else want to show what you've created so far, or if you have questions for Kimberly or want suggestions from her or anything like that? You can just sort of wave your hand if that's a yes.
Or it may be too early. It may be still working. I get that. All right. I'm going to pull some little shapes in here.
I'm just curious where everybody is. Are you like keeping up with that? Do you all have just your first flower, or do you have are you on to your dots?
I'm on the yellow right now.
You're on the yellow. Oh, that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
That's
that is.
good.
That's great.
How do
I'm
you
kinda
how do you
just
want us
doing
to
my
show
own-
it?
Kind of
I
just
got
doing
all
my
kinds
own
of
thing.
colors on here.
Do you want me to just pick this up?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll warn you, I didn't get a circle. I had black yellow in my supplies, so in
That's fine.
a
Yeah.
9x11. So,
Oh,
but I
This is
haven't worked with
Carmen.
Holdings in a long time. So I
Here,
don't know.
I'm gonna spotlight her.
Oh,
Woo!
beautiful.
It
Very
needs detail
pretty.
now.
Wowza.
Every detail I put in, it's just blending right in. Actually, it looks a little better when you where I can see it, but I need to brighten up some the areas.
Yeah, so that's basically it. I think, you could just keep working on it. You could do, tons of different things to it. You could add, different little leaf shapes in there or add other colors, but that's basically it. And you could also, if you wanted to brighten up or add some layering, some highlights, you can always add a little bit of snow cap on top of these little buds here. Like I put a little bit of snow cap down. And for this, I'm going to add just a touch of alcohol on top of that. And
Stephanie was asking too, do you ever use metallics instead of snow cap? Would that work?
it's not going to work the same as, I just messed that up, as snow cap does, because you need something that's white. You need something that's kind of light to really add that.
I don't know. I didn't
Opaqueness to
have
it.
snow cap. I had a pinata from Jacquard. It's Blanco. White,
Yeah,
it's a white Blanco.
You can use
Is that the same idea?
Same idea. Yes, you can
Okay.
do that for sure. Yeah. And you can clean this black paper off. But I guess that's what this is a good time I could show you how that works. But it's not the same as cleaning off UPO. It's a little bit harder to do because it's, you'll have that white on there. So it's going to leave kind of a smudge behind, but you just have to work at it a little bit. If you really want to remove something, if I wanted to remove this section here, I could get some alcohol on a paper towel, but I would have to really, really work at it to get all the white off of it. So generally what I do is I just go, over top of it. If I make a mistake and I want to, fix something, I'll just kind of paint over top of it. But basically that is it. And I wanted to also show you kind of how I finished this. I know that, let's see, what time is it? I've got a few minutes. I want to show you how to adhere this to a wood panel. But before I do that, does anybody have any questions about just the process of creating this?
To show, Kimberly, this is Susie.
Uh-huh.
I have mine to show.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Ooh, beautiful colors too. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. I love the blue.
Yeah.
Love the blue. Yes.
That looks
Beautiful.
awesome.
Very pretty.
Thank you.
Very
Thought it was
pretty.
purple. Looks blue, but it's purplish.
Hey,
Anyway.
this is cool. I have one to share too.
Oh,
good, Cooley.
nice.
Let me see where.
Oh, you use pink too.
I actually use purple.
Oh,
I
is it
used,
purple?
It's always
yeah.
hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah,
In
I
the
use
Yeah.
picture?
boysenberry.
Are you spotlighted?
Oh,
No.
pretty.
I can't see it.
I'm not
Spotlight.
spotlighted.
Kimberly.
Ooh,
There's cool.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
Oh,
it's
very pretty.
boysenberry.
Whoops. Whoops.
boysenberry. Yes, that's one of my favorite colors.
Yeah, I love that color too.
Who is that right there? Okay. Oh,
There you go.
I love
I
that.
love it, Cooley.
Nice.
Thanks. Sorry, you know, I'm
beautiful.
using my laptop, so I don't know where the camera. Oh, there we go.
You got it. You
That
got it.
looks great.
So pretty.
Every time you paint too, yours have sort of a Hawaiian feel to them.
Yes, I
Yes,
know.
They always have that kind of feel. That's beautiful.
Thank
Yeah, it
you.
really does
that.
have a Hawaiian feel.
Uh-huh. Gorgeous,
Thank
gorgeous.
you.
Anybody else want to
I do
show
have,
theirs?
I'll show mine. Karen.
Okay, say your name.
Karen.
Karen.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Let me get
Those
to
are also nice.
you. Here we go.
Let's see if I can get it up there.
Oh, nice,
Oh,
Karen.
that's pretty too. I
Karen.
love
Pretty.
it.
I did a purple too.
Beautiful.
What color was that?
That was a pinata passion purple is what I did.
Beautiful.
Wow.
It always shows up a little bit bluer on my screen, but
Right, and it does look blue there for some reason, but it is purple. We got to work more on the embellishments, but I can't keep up with you, Kimberly.
I'm so sorry.
You're an expert and I'm not, so I'm working on it, but it's good.
Karen has been to my house and done in-person workshops with me, so she knows I'm fast.
Oh, I know. It's a blessing to live close to you to do that.
Would anybody else like to share?
Deb,
Okay, let me
Deb.
replace. There we go.
let's see, I didn't do round.
Oh, I love that. I love the way you
Beautiful.
created that
The layers.
light in the center of the flower.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
layers
That's
are
so beautiful.
Thanks.
And yeah, you don't have to have a round. You know,
Yeah, I had the black, so I decided just to.
yeah, you can do it on any shape paper. It's the same, same idea. So pretty.
Beautiful composition.
Yes, gorgeous.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Oh, I like that. Who's that?
I don't see who is that.
Who's that?
I don't.
Was
Back
there
to
somebody
Kimberly.
else?
But is there anybody else? Please, like, raise your hand or say your name.
Well, keep painting, and I'm going to show you this really quick while you're finishing up. So that's kind of, I thought, let me show you this, and it'll give you also time to like finish up whatever you're working on. Now, this one is still, a little bit wet and sticky, so I'm going to use one that I've already painted that's dry completely. But you want to make sure your painting is completely dry. You want to go ahead and spray it with some sort of sealant. I use Krylon UV Archival on my alcohol ink work to set the ink and also protect it from UV rays. So I'm going to put this one aside. And this is a 10-inch wood panel, and it has, I think that's a 3/4 inch height or depth to it. And so it's a cradle panel. So here, this is one that I did that's very similar to the one I just did tonight. Of course, it has a little bit more going on because I spent more time on it. And this is also one that I cut myself. So I cut it a little bit larger than 10 inches. But I'm going to show you how I adhere this to my board. I use Liquitex, and this is matte medium. And you can use heavy if you want to, but this is just medium matte, so it's a little bit thinner than the heavy. And I'm just going to brush this onto my panel. I really prefer to use those little foam brushes when I'm doing this, but I didn't have one handy, so I'm just using a little brush. So I usually just brush this onto my panel first. And just, sort of a thin layer. Some people like to gesso their panels before they do this. And I have never had any trouble with my panels warping or anything, but if you want to be super careful about it, you might want to put a layer of gesso first before you do this, but I've never had an issue. So I just go for it. And I've done many of these and I haven't ever had any problem with them. Make sure you cover it really well, especially all the way to the edges. You want to make sure that you go all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to put the same stuff on the back of my painting. So I'm just doing a fairly thin layer. You all just keep on painting and I'll just be over here playing with this matte medium. All right. So once I've got that, I'm just going to lay it flat on my board and just kind of center it up. Most of the time, you know, if you're ordering your round panels from Evo or Nara, they're going to be maybe slightly bigger than 10 inches. This one is, you know, I cut myself intentionally a little bit bigger. So I'm going to put it down and then I'm going to just get a piece of plastic and put on top of it and use a brayer and just really push it out toward the edges so that any bubbles in there will just be pushed out toward the edge and it'll give it a really nice adhesion. And I like to go from the center out to the edges so that it will push anything, like I said, any bubbles out. Some people don't put plastic on top of it. I do that just to protect it, just in case I've got something on my brayer. I don't want it to transfer to my painting. And then that's basically it. I'll usually take this and turn it upside down and then put a stack of books on top of it or something really heavy and leave it overnight. And then once it's dry, I'll just take a X-Acto knife and just trim the edges off of it. Maybe you can see like right there where it's hanging over a little bit. I'll just trim that away. And then when I'm working on black like this, I'll usually paint my sides black. Like, let's see, I think I've got one over here somewhere that's finished. And here's one that is finished and I've got the sides painted. I usually just put the title on the back of it and the year and I sign it. But this one was done exactly the same way. And then my secret tool for painting my edges is this Montana. It's almost like a giant Sharpie. Have you all ever used this?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, this thing is the best, and you can use it on canvas, like the size of your canvas. But the top, let me move this out of the way.
Is it ink or acrylic or
Is it
It's
oil-based or acrylic?
It's acrylic.
acrylic?
Yeah. So it's like this. And then let me see if I've got something I can. I don't really have. Going peek. This is just one that I've already done, but what I do is just take it. I mean, it just slides along the edge like that. You push it down to get the paint to come out like that, and then it's just like one easy, just along the edge. It is so so nice. It saves me so much time. And you can, like, again, you can use it on canvas too. It's really nice. And it's refillable. So this part comes off and you can buy the refills for it, the paint to squirt in there.
Nice.
So that's what I use for that. And then I just put a little hanger on the back of it and it's ready to go directly on your wall. So that's it. That's all I got.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Anybody got any questions about that part or anything else?
Pat wanted to know what was the marker called again?
It's a Montana, it's just called an acrylic water-based. I don't know what wide. It just says it's a wide. You can get them in different sizes. So you can get like, I think extra wide. And also, y'all, they come in golds too. You can get gold for these.
Ooh.
Gold
Are they
size.
on Amazon?
Kimberly, can you put the name or the link in the chat at some point tonight?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, as soon as I'm finished here, I'll look that up and I'll put it in there. So yeah, I use these are great. I use these all the time. Ever since I found these, I haven't used anything else to paint the size of my canvases or my panels. Yeah, that's that.
Great.
All right.
Awesome.
Anybody
got
else
anything?
want to show anything that they've created or have any questions?
Very
Just-
thorough.
What?
So she was very
you hear me?
thorough.
Thank you.
Looks
All
great.
right. Well, if nobody wants to show anything and nobody has any questions, then we're gonna draw a name for a giveaway
Oh yeah.
from Kimberly. And Kimberly, do you want to sort of describe what your giveaway is?
Let me move my camera back here. It's my alcohol ink beginners class. And if you win and you've already taken that class, then I'll do something else for you. So don't worry if you've already taken that class. But it teaches how to paint on white, on black, and lots of different kinds of flowers and different tools you can use, canned air and airbrush, the little handheld tools. And so it's pretty thorough, especially for beginners, and it's a lifelong access type thing too. So you can go back to it as many times as you like.
Great. Okay. We're going old school. We're not doing an electronic spinner. It's like names are on pieces of paper. That's how we're doing it. So I'm just picking one out. And the winner of Kimberly's workshop is Joby Marshall.
Nice.
Nice.
I don't know if they're here tonight. I don't
Yeah, and I don't
recognize
think I
that
have
name.
heard. I don't think I have heard any classes, so that'll be nice.
Yeah. So I will contact them after we're done
Mm-hmm.
and let her know what she's won.
Congratulations.
So how's everybody feeling?
Good.
Anybody need a little break?
Anybody
little
worn out from all that fast painting?
Can I ask a question of Beth? Beth,
Sure.
whenever you're on Spotlight for me, you shake back, your video shakes back and forth. It doesn't happen with anybody else. It's okay
Really?
when you're in the corner, but when you come up to Spotlight, I don't know. I'm sure it's my machine, but
Wow. Well, I do have my camera mounted on the table, so maybe I'm bouncing I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm bouncing the table. I will try to keep my hands off the table for a while.
No, it's not. It's not you move, like it's not your camera. For some reason, it's the screen on mine is.
Oh.
It's only
wow.
happening with you, and I don't know if you're the main organizer or if that's the problem, but it's not happening with anybody else.
Okay.
Can you try it again and let's see what happens? Spotlight Carmen.
Let's see.
No, I don't see it.
No, it's not for me. It's when I look
it's
at
when
Beth.
I'm spotlighted?
Yeah, when you're spotlighted.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Oh,
Beth, you got your lips again? Remember?
No, but there.
Or it does that little shake when you have those little lips in the corner.
I know. It's like, okay, I'm going to turn sideways and see if it happens.
No. Yeah, there they are. I saw
It's
them.
not happening on anybody else's. It's just on mine.
I
I'm
saw them
guessing.
right there.
No, I haven't seen any shaking.
Okay.
But no
It's just,
shaking.
it's just got to be my connection or my computer.
I have some odd things going on with me. I don't know what it is.
I'm having the same problem.
I don't know what it is.
She's not hearing me.
Okay.
So
Well,
Sonia
we
had a
are-
question.
Yeah, I'm having the same problem. When Beth is on, it's shaking back and forth. I
Oh,
feel like a headache actually looking.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
no.
just Beth's.
That's Beth's,
It's
yeah.
not-
Yeah, that
That's
goes in the
odd.
machine.
Well,
Uh-oh.
Wild.
Okay.
That's like, well, I'm not
I'm
gonna
gonna
spotlight myself.
I'm gonna spotlight myself.
Hmm. So is it shaking now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
it's not on my end. Pat said it's
Not,
not on
not
her
shaking
end.
for me.
Not on mine
Waiting for
either.
me.
Wild.
I'm wondering if I'm on my computer as opposed to my iPad this time, so I don't know if that's the difference.
I'm on my computer too, and it's not doing that for me.
Same. I'm on my Mac.
I'm on my Mac and it is shaking, but
Huh.
some of the time, like right now, it went and stopped. But anyways,
Yeah.
let's just keep
Must
going.
be maybe an update or something in Zoom, or who knows.
I don't know. Well, I hope
Well, Beth,
when we
what
get to
about-
my presentation, I'll double check it again to be sure, people are able to see it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what could be causing that.
Mm-mm.
So
I don't know. Okay, well, we are 1/3 of the way through, and we are going to move on to watercolor with Kellie. She's going to be doing some loose watercolor florals.
Who's
And
painting
so
along?
I'm going to spotlight you.
I'm gonna switch over. Who's painting? Anybody painting along?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try again. I'm
Good. Good.
Gonna
Good.
try.
Good.
gonna have to redo all of
Yes.
these afterwards, but it's fun to paint along in the meantime.
Yeah, I think it's good that if you paint along, because I think you kind of get a feel for it a little bit more when you're doing it.
I even saw something you said somewhere else too. I even sprayed my watercolors before we started to make them juicy.
Did you?
Oh yeah, I
Good,
did.
good, good. Yep.
I'm not sure where I saw that, Kelly. I think it was on your page or something.
Yeah, I think
on one
I
of your
think
others.
yeah, Patreon. I think it's one of my videos.
Okay.
Yeah, that's which is a good thing you just said that, because I had spritzed mine earlier and I didn't do it. Yeah, so that's a key thing. If you have watercolors, make sure that they're nice and juicy. So I usually will spritz them about 15 minutes before I start, and then I'll spritz them again because it does tend to soak up, but it gets nice, especially the Rosa paints. They're just like I don't know if they have honey in them or what it is, but they're just so like gooey and
They're so
awesome.
vibrant too. They're beautiful.
Yeah, and vibrant. The
Yeah.
colors are amazing. So you can use any kind of watercolors you have. Anything is going to work for you. I have my Rosa, and then I got these in too, which these are new for me. These are my Kiritaki ones, which have absolutely gorgeous colors, totally different than what I usually use for colors. But these are more opaque, whereas these are more transparent. So I'm going to use my Rosa paints. I have 2 brushes tonight that I'm going to be using. I have my dagger brush. I love the dagger brush because this really makes me loosen up with my florals, as I always tried to paint like realistic flowers, and I go crazy because I just, it takes me forever and I never can get it quite right. So I decided I was going to paint loose florals from here on out, and I absolutely love it. I'm much happier now. But this is a great brush. It's a 1/4 inch by Princeton dagger brush. So you can see it's called a dagger because it almost looks like a little dagger. It's sharp. This one has been well loved. It's actually got a couple fray hairs on there. And then I also have my black velvet. This is a number 8, and this has a nice point to it. Now, when you're working with your brushes, I would advise you to use a little bit smaller brush because it will hold a lot of water. So for this particular type of painting, it's a lot of wet into wet. So if you have too much water, it becomes an issue. So a smaller brush if you have it. I'm going to move my paints aside. And then for my paper, I have both, but I think I might use my bigger Canson paper just because you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to come in just a little bit more here. Up close. So this is some inexpensive paper that I have. The Canson's an inexpensive paper. This is not 100% cotton, and I will say, when you first start out, if you're working with watercolor, get yourself some really good watercolor paper. This is a pulp paper, and the difference between pulp paper and like 100% cotton paper, like Arches. I'll just show you. This is a piece of Arches here. This has a lot of sizing on it. It actually has sizing inside the paper as well as on the outside of the paper. So the paints just flow so much better than they do on something like a Canson watercolor paper. It's pulp paper because they don't use as much sizing on it, and the sizing tends to be more on the top. And so you'll notice that the paper doesn't keep the paints wet very long. It dries out quicker, and sometimes they dry a little bit lighter. But for, inexpensive paper for practice, this is great. But if you don't want to get frustrated, always try some good paper. Sorry, I'm going to flip that back around again. There we go. So I do have some Arches paper. I'm going to show you that too in a little bit, just so you can see the difference. And let's see, I have two things of water. I've got one for my dirty, one for clean. I end up getting both of them dirty at all times. It just happens. And then I have my little paint palette over here. So I'm going to be mixing in some colors just so it keeps it nice and fresh. So we're going to start out with just creating those very loose florals. Let me just show you one that I have here.
Oh, God. I'm sorry.
What? So this is my loose florals. These are all different colors, and you can have a lot of fun with it, and you can paint whatever color you want. I don't even know what direction this one is going in, but I was playing with a bunch of different colors so I could see what I liked. And we're going to practice first. We're going to do step 1, step 2, and step 3 to get that shape. And I want to show it to you with 2 different brushes so that you can see, actually, you can use any brush you want. I have 2 other brushes here too. This is a needlepoint brush, and this is an oval wash brush. So if anybody has a different type of brush and they want to, see how that works, just let me know and we can do that if I have one. So I'm going to start out, and first of all, I'm going to wet my brush because you can't mix paints if you don't have a wet brush, or if you mix a nice puddle of color, your dry brush will suck it all up. So I'm going to try, I've got a bunch of different reds here, so you can pick and choose whatever is your favorite, pink, red, what have you. I'm actually going to put it in this little tray here, just so you can see it. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. I want this fairly watery, and with watercolor, you want more water, less pigment. Much different than alcohol ink and acrylic that way, because you're painting basically with water, you're not painting with paint. If that's the best way to think about it. So I'm going to mix up a couple different colors prior. So I'm going to do a red. I'm also going to do a bright orange. So I'm going to have my colors all ready to go. That way I can just dip it right in here. Add a little bit more water to that. And I think I'm going to use, you could do like a purple or a Payne's gray, just some type of darker color for the center. This is actually, I think this is called grape. Payne's gray, grape, what have you, whatever your favorite colors are. So I've mixed that up, and I'm rinsing my brush off. Just going to tap off the excess water because I don't want it super watery. And I'm going to take up some of this pigment here. I'm going to do it on the Canson first. So I'm going to make myself like a little face, a little smiley face almost. It's an upside down smiley face. And then I'm going to clean my brush off just with a little bit of water. And I have some pigment still in there, but not a lot. And I'm going to take my brush and I'm just going to smoosh it. this one, I'm going to smush that one, and I'm going to make these little petal shapes. So this is more random because the dagger brush, you know, you've got like those sharp points, those sharp edges on it. Let's go ahead and do the round brush just so you can see. This does have a point to it as well. This one does hold more water. So we had talked about if you have a brush that holds a lot of water, you have to, I need more paint. You have to kind of pay attention to that because you don't want it to be super wet. So I'm going to rinse my brush off because I don't want all of that pigment. And I'm going to tap off some of that excess because this one holds more water. And I'm going to do the same thing. So you can see already how much more water this has. And I like to make the edges nice and light, so it almost gives it an automatic, you have two different colors going on in there. And then I'm going to add a little bit of that orange. While this is still wet, I'm just going to drop it in here. And some of that's going to move around a little bit. Does it look like a flower yet? It's getting there, huh? And while that's wet, I can maybe take some of this black or grape and I can drop in some in the center here. Just give it a little squiggle. And then I can also drop in, if I want, a little extra color in there. So that one's very, very pale. If I go brighter, let's do one next to us here. A little bit brighter pink. I've got more pigment on my brush this time, a little bit less water. Again, taking that and smushing it, getting that little petal shape. I'm gonna go with some brighter orange. We'll drop that right in there while it's still wet. Let it just kind of move around. And then I'm probably going to let that dry a little bit because if I add some other colors to it, it's just going to spread out too much. So this is a great way for you to practice. You could try out different colors. Let's do a little purple one over here. Move that aside. But it's that same little shape, a little smiley face, frown face, a little water, a lot of water on that one. And you've got your little 3 petals there. Let's go with some pink this time. Oops, need a little bit more. A little pink in there. And I love, look at that. It's just kind of swirling around in there. And this is on the inexpensive paper too, so it does an even better job when it's in the good stuff. Let's do a little purple in this one. And while it's still wet, just adding a little purple to it. Almost looks like a Johnny jump up type thing. Okay, so you can just practice like just those shapes. You could do like a whole page of just flowers, try different colors with them, try different brushes. Does everybody have a round brush? Does anybody have a different type of brush? I'll do it with one of the oval wash brushes just so you can see. You can still do it with pretty much any shape. It's just a matter of how you turn it. So with your oval wash, you've got obviously a lot more area with it. So I turn it sideways and I can still create that little smiley face. Okay, this one does hold a lot of water too. Look at, you can see how much paint. This is just from a brush. So you can also take your watercolors and just kind of pull it off to the side and you get a nice puddle in there so you don't lose all of that paint that you've just mixed up. Again, going into the dirty water. I go right into the dirty water because it's got a little bit of color. I don't even bother rinsing it at this point. And I'm now going to lay my brush flat. And again, I'm going to come out here with the water and come in and just pick up some of that and let it bloom out.
I guess they saved me from myself by not including the chips. I mean, I get that. but I have to be honest, that was what I was looking forward to the most.
Nice.
Yeah, but anyways, it's good.
Bit of orange. Oops, I just went into my clean water. And then a little bit of that darker value again. Just have to be really careful as you're dropping some of that in there. How's everybody doing? I'm looking out, looking at everybody's faces. It is hard, Kimberly, because you're like just in you're in your own little world, and it's like, am I just talking to myself? Anybody listening? Are you guys good? Okay, so that is with this brush, and then let's just, since we have a little bit of time here, let's go ahead and I'll just show you this really cool brush. This is my Fufumi brush. This is number 10. It's called a needlepoint brush. Isn't that the funniest looking thing? I just had to buy these just because they were so wild, and I wasn't quite sure if I was going to like them, but I do. They're very different, but I like them. So I'm going to pick up some more paint again. Let's see what color I've got here. We'll go with that same color. So you can use these in a couple different ways, but you've got your little point. It's a little bit more of a challenge, and they're very narrow. This is a small brush, but I'm just using the top of that, so I got to be careful I don't put too much pressure on it. Otherwise, I'm going to use the belly of the brush. I'm going to rinse it off, and you can turn it sideways. Again, just a smush and a scribble. And you still can use that brush. So it doesn't really matter what kind of brush you have. You can do it with anything. Again, we'll add some of that. Oops, it's got a little bit of mud in it. A little muddy. So you can see though, if they're really, really wet, you can see how that disperses that color a lot more. And the more dry it is, it's going to stay more in place with watercolor. And I'm going to get a little center in there. That is the Fufumi brush. So there's your petals. So you can, keep practicing your little petal shapes. You can even try them one at a time. You can do something a little bit more like this, where you push and pull if you want something that's more defined for your petals. That's the dagger brush. You can go something like that around. But again, this is just a really easy way to be able to smush, push, and pull. And you can still do it this way. I didn't even put the edges in there. I can add that after if I wanted to. Okay. So any questions on the petals? We're going to move on to our little leaf shapes. I'm also going to use the dagger brush for this too. Good thing Ellen's not here, Kimberly, because Ellen's like, I hate that dagger brush. She says, would you stop using that, please, in your videos?
I love the dagger brush. I use it with alcohol ink too, the small one. Yeah, I love it.
She does not care for it. She's so funny. So just keep trying it. Keep playing with it. All right, so for leaves, again, the shape of the dagger brush is you have your long area here and then your flat part here. So these are great for making leaves. If you can have like a little line and then you push and you can do like a little flip so that they're very loose, very organic looking. And you can try that a bunch of times. Twist and turn. They don't have to always be in that direction. But I'm like Kimberly, I like to often move my paper around, but this piece is so large that it's hard to do that with. And you'll notice too, I've got brown in there, some blue. I like to not even I'm losing my voice. Not even removing the paint from that. I'm just kind of dipping it in almost like if I was doing some toll painting. Oh, Pat says she likes the dagger as well. Yay! Yay for the dagger. So again, you can practice just, a little flip and create your different leaf shapes that way. Add in other colors to it, blues. I like that more natural earthy tone colors. Sometimes I'll add the yellow ochre to it. And I'll change it up, going a bunch of different colors. And you can, again, practice your leaf shapes, fill up a whole piece of paper with it. So that's with the dagger. And then you can also use your black velvet or your round. This one has the nice point to it, so it's a little easier. I'm going to mix up some more green here. And again, you want to use your point at first, so don't put much pressure on it until you get your little line, and then push down and then a little flip. So it's again, this, push and flip. You can flip it this way. You don't have to flip it. You can just bring it down and pull out. You get more defined, like perfect petals that way. That's why I say the dagger brush just gives you that more organic shape. You can still add some colors to it again if you want browns or blues. Any questions on the petal shapes or the leaf shapes? Let's do a little bit of yellow. I don't use this bright color very often, but it's definitely in nature. Push and flip. I can hear somebody talking, but I'm not sure. If you're doing good. So it's really easy. Just push and pull, push and pull. Okay, I'm going to remove this paper now. And we're going to start to put it together. Over there. So we have our little shape, or our flower. I'm going to try to do something like this, or something like this. And then we're going to put it together at the end in a base. So that's my plan, if we have time. Hopefully we have time. So we're going to start with just adding everything together now. So we've got our little shape. Oops. By now you probably have this down. I'm going to go a little brighter this time. So we've got our little shape. I'm going to let that dry just a little bit. We're going to go into the green. Let's create a little stem here. And I usually kind of tuck them in here and there, like, so it looks like it's coming from outside the flower. And then a little flip. That's a really dark color, isn't it? And another one over here. And again, you can practice this. You can, if you're more comfortable, you could start with your leaf shape and then add your flower to it too. Because sometimes you don't know where you want to put things. That's a really light one. Let's see what we can get with this one. Try not to get that green in there. Okay, we can add, because that doesn't have a lot of pigment in there. Let's add that bright green, or bright orange. And again, the center. And let some of it move around. Pretty simple, huh? So let's go ahead and try to kind of put it all together. I try to do like what Kimberly did with her alcohol inks. And you can start, let's pretend this is the center of the paper. I'm going to start with that first one. I'm just going to go with a brighter pink this time. I have a lot on there. Maybe an orange one up here. Again, letting things kind of mix and blend. You want to do purple? Let's do a purple one here. And the big thing with watercolor is, waiting to see when the right time is to add the other paints. Too soon, it's too watery. If you do it too late, you'll get some hard edges. So it's always one of those things where you have to kind of play with it and figure it out as you go. Practice. Let's see if this one actually is more dry. See how that's not moving very much? I'm gonna add a little water to it to help it along. Let's go with a little blue, purple. I'm trying some different colors now. And that was what I was saying about this paper. It does tend to dry faster, so you don't have as much work time. You have to be quick. Kimberly, this would work for you. Beth, you always have a hard time with yours of your inks because with a 15-minute challenge are always wet. And then a little bit, again, of the color in the center. And you can always keep adding stuff to it. Like if you don't like that particular red, if you want to add another red to it, or pink, you can still add some more layers to these. Change it up a little bit. Gives it a little bit more dimension when you start to add a little bit more colors. Similar to what Kimberly had done on her other one when you start adding the purples and you add the peaches and it just kind of comes to life a little bit more. And then let's go ahead and I'm just going to bring out my stem and do a little leaf here, maybe here. We're getting like that little bouquet look to it. I'm going to add in some blue. If you want another type of leaf, you can go more specific by coming up around the other side. So don't just stop there. You can come over here and make it more rounded if you want. A little bit of brown to that. And you can make it as big or as small as you want. You can keep adding flowers out here if you want to add a few more, just do little smaller ones. Fill up the space. They might not have that full 3-petal bloom on them, but kind of off to the side. You can also do something like, if you want to make it more rounded, you can add a little lavender look to it. I feel like I have to turn my paper, but I'm going to go with it. It's going to look like a feather instead. Little feathery thing. And then maybe get a little center in here, another color. Where was the other one up here? Okay, so it gives it a nice little bloom. How are we doing? Thanks, Beth. Thanks, Barb.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'm reading the comments over there.
Yeah.
So let's just show you really quickly this is how you can kind of build up on it. You can have that simple little shape and you can just kind of keep expanding it. And you can even do something like, if you want your flowers out. You want it, I can't remember what this one is. What would that be called? Like a peony or something, maybe? Again, where it's just you can have a little center to it, a little dotting, and then you have a flower. I mean, it's just super loose. Let's go with, again, a smushing. Bring it out. It's not really a flower. You're just kind of adding some color and you have a little flower. A little stem on it here. A little flip up and you're good to go. Right? You can add more color to these too. I want to drop in some purple. I'm kind of liking the orange and the pink color combo. I don't know, I'm into that lately.
When you add that extra color of layering, it's like so dramatic.
Doesn't it make it pop?
Yes.
Yeah, I could even add more, do another color on there. Yeah, while it's still wet. And you get all of those layers. So it's about, that's the difference with watercolors. You have to kind of build those layers up. Like something like this looks a little flat to me now after looking at something like this. And I could go back in and add more color to these. But this is where you want to start. That's that real basic shape. Once you get the shape down, then you can kind of play with the colors and then you can play with the layers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
My water is really dirty. Look at that. I went in. I told you I would do that. I always try to keep one clean and it never works. Okay. So I'm going to show you now on the Arches paper. And I'm also going to show you, let's just do this first. I'm going to show you how you can make a very easy vase. So this is the easiest way I've decided that to make a vase. So I'm going to use blue and purple, maybe get a nice deep color. And this is going to be your vase. So it's just a little line down, like a little L shape like this. And then you're going to rinse off your brush, grab some water, and I'm going to come up here with just my water, and I'm just going to kiss that little line here very gently right here, and I'm just going to let that bloom. And it's like a clear vase, so you don't even really see this other side, but you can do like an imaginary line here so that you might see some of it, you might not see any of it.
Hey, Kelly, can I ask you a favor?
Yes.
Can you move your palette over a little bit so we can see it? That's
Does that
perfect.
work?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
It's kind of it's teetering on the edge here. Sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm just going to mix. I've got, again, that black or that purple shade in there, making it a little bit darker now. So I have less water, more pigment, and I can just come through. Maybe I don't have enough. Come through and I can darken that just a little bit more on the edge. Shape it up. So that's an easy peasy vase. Now you're going to have some green in there, right? If you have a vase full of flowers. Again, I'm going to darken mine up a little bit. Just add a little bit of blue to it, maybe a little bit of brown. And again, this is just the color. I never use green out of a tube or I always add blue or brown to my green because I like that earthy tone. So this is still wet. So I'm just going to put a couple little lines in here. So you're going to see some of it's going to be in the water. It's going to look a little blurry. So some of it you will see, some of it you won't. I do have a little glare on there. Sorry about that. If I come up, but you can see it a little bit better. So that's how you're going to do your vase, and you'll have your, your little stems that are coming out. You could put in your little leaf shapes. What's that look like? It's not a floral, but that could be, I don't know, bamboo or something. A little bamboo in a dish. So that's a very easy type of vase. So this was on that really inexpensive paper. Actually, I got it off of Amazon. It's like $4.99 for 20 sheets. But If you are new to watercolor, a great starter type of paper is the Strathmore watercolor cards. I get the cards, they come with the envelopes. I cut them in half. They're like a 5x7. So you get, like, if you order the pack of 100, you get 200 sheets of 5x7 that you can just kind of play around with. And it's a good quality paper. It's cotton. And I think I can't remember if it comes out to like, yeah, I can't remember how much a sheet it is. Do my math for me. I think it was like the price has gone up a little bit as with everything lately, but it was the cheapest way to get good paper. Barb is asking if do you have to tape it if it doesn't curl or ripple? For the pad paper, I don't. If I'm getting it super wet, I will tape it down. But something like this where I'm just getting this small section wet, or like this, I don't worry about taping it down. But if I'm going to do like a background, or if I know that I'm going to get it really, really wet, especially if it's inexpensive paper, it will tend to ripple a little bit or curl. But one of the easy ways to fix paper, if it does curl on you, by the way, is you flip it over on the back, just take a little spray bottle like this and spritz it, and then flip it back over, lay something heavy on it, and it will dry flat. You can even put a little piece of plastic on it or another piece of like wax paper or something if you want to. You're welcome. Another thing you can do is once you have your little vase done, this is another one I did where I just added a little bit of pen and ink. This is a Beth version right here where I start to add ink to things. Like she's gotten me doing this. I do this all the time now and I love it.
Nothing beats like adding a little pen work.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, and I have like the gold pens. I have like these little Uniball pens. If you're doing alcohol ink, you guys probably have these already. The Uniball in the gold. I have a Uniball in the white, and I'll often use those. And then I also have my gold, my powdered gold that I got. It's actually a watercolor gold by Schminke. I didn't bring it over here at my desk, but it's powdered and you mix it with water and it's like liquid gold. It's beautiful. And I wish I would have brought it over here, but it's like as gold as this. It's so pretty. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw it all together now. We've done that. Let's do the vase with the flowers. And this time I'm going to use my Arches paper. And I'm not going to tape it down, but I was going to tell you too, Barb, is I usually will use like cardboard, or you can get the matte kits from Golden State Art, and they are on Amazon as well. They have these little kits where they have the backer board, they have your mat with it, and a plastic sleeve. So, and you can use that for your alcohol inks too. But I will often use those to tape it down to when I'm working on other pieces of paper. If you watch Make Time to Create any of the videos, I usually have mine taped down on there. Okay, so let's try to put everything together now. I'm going to grab, again, I'm going to put my palette up here so Kimberly can see it. There, this works better because now I can put it on my smaller sheet. So I think I'm going to go really loose. So I'm going to switch brushes again. I'm going to use my dagger brush just because I have so much more fun with this one. If you don't have a dagger brush, what would be similar? I would probably use a liner brush. A dagger brush is kind of its own little world because it's long. It's long. And I mean, if you look at the size of that versus the size of this one, it's just super long. So when you're holding it, especially if you're holding it down here, you can get great, like if you're doing trees or something like that, really loose little scribbles. It works really well because it's got such a fine tip and it's so long. But if you have like a liner brush, something like that, liner brushes don't hold a lot of paint though. That's the only problem. But if you're doing like little small flowers, I would probably go with something like that. But there's kind of nothing like this. Like there's nothing like the needle brush. These are kind of in a world of their own. But if you can get something like this one, the silver brush. It does have a nice tip on it, so you can get that nice tip like these have. It's got a little bit of a shorter belly on it. Kelly, would you put the links in the chat? Yeah, yep, yep. I do have in the material list. I think I have the Princeton dagger brush in there. I have the watercolor cards in there, the porcelain mixing tray. Just let me know what you need. Which I can't remember what I was talking about when you asked, but whatever it is that you need, I can put the links in there. Just let me know. Oh, look, I got some stuff on my good paper. Okay. So do you have a link for what you recommend? Oh, the gold watercolor. Yes, I will. It's called Schminke, and I will add that to it. Okay. So I'm gonna look, these are already started to dry. You just notice I added water to it, and we're just gonna remix. This is the nice thing about watercolor. Don't ever throw your watercolor away, just like alcohol ink. If you have alcohol ink, you add ink to it or add alcohol to it and it reactivates. Same with watercolor. So you'll notice I'll have these trays everywhere and I never wash. I usually don't wash them off. I wash this off for tonight just so it would be pretty for you. But I always just use all of them and I just reactivate them. So I do want, again, a thicker paint here. Let's see, it's kind of a purpley color. Let's add a little bit more purple to it. Maybe a little blue. I like a nice thick paint. Now, if you're working with tubes, does anybody have tubes or does everybody have pan paints? That's another question I should have asked. Tube paints are great, especially if you're working on bigger projects because you don't have to mix. But if you're a beginner, I always recommend that you get pans because it really teaches you how to work your ratios with pigment versus water. Tube paints are kind of like, I see a lot of beginners just like squirt the tube paint out and it's very expensive. And if you ever bought watercolor tubes, they're like this big and they're like, depending on what color it is, it could be $15 for this little tube. So you don't want to use it like you use acrylic paints. So I always recommend if you have, paints, try the pan paints because you get a better idea of how they work, I think, than with tubes. Tubes are very strong pigments. Okay, I might have gone up a little too high on that. All right, a little bit of water. Oops, that's a very dark pigment. Let's just rinse that off a little bit more. So again, water. It's gonna be really dark over here. That's a dark one. All right, something else you can do with watercolor. Because it's like with alcohol inks. It has a mind of its own. Take a tissue and you can just lift up if you get it too dark in there. Suck it right up. And go back in with a little bit of water. I might have to come down anyway on this one a little bit. So I'm starting with my vase. Giving a nice little shadow. Again, I'm really messy when I do this. It doesn't have to be like perfect. It's all about playing, having fun with it. Don't get too heady. And we're gonna do our little shapes here. You guys have this down by now, don't you? I've done enough of them. So I'm very random with this one. Like you can see with a dagger brush, if I use like the tip of it, I can get a little bit more loose, a little bit more organic look to it. Let's see, I'm going to do an orange one. A little bit more water. Let's come down here with this one. And water. So see the difference between that? It's just not quite as rounded. It's more loose, more forgiving. It's my crazy little brush. And then we'll do another kind of a reddish one up here. A little smushing going on, a little mixing of colors. We have 3. I wish I would have brought that down a little bit, but that's okay. Bart says, I'm watching and trying just to learn. Awesome techniques. Good. I'm glad it's helpful. I know there's a lot of alcohol ink folks here, so watercolor might be new to a lot of you. So it's really fun. It is, isn't it, Carmen?
Yeah.
And it really is just as forgiving as alcohol inks. Once you get comfortable with it, I think, people tend to kind of freeze up with watercolor, but really, if you loosen up with it and don't worry about every little stroke, it's very rewarding. It took me, I don't know how many flowers I did. You guys know when I did make time to create, I was like, no, I don't want any flowers, no flowers. And then by the end, I'm like, yes, I hope it's a flower. So I've been practicing my loose flowers. Okay, I'm going to mix up my green. And, just a little touch of this to it because I want it dark because this is so dark. Well, let's go ahead and we'll put in, this is still wet. So see how that is blending? It's just kind of bleeding, blurring. Up here, I can get a nice strong line because the paper's dry. So I can put in some of these little lines for our flower stems. And then we're going to put in some little petals. Look, I messed that petal up. I'm not even going to go back in and do anything with it. I like it. It's nice and loose. Sometimes if you lift up, you get this nice dry brush effect. I need some more leaves over here. I think I need another color. There's some pink in there. And the other thing is if you're using all of the same colors, they're very cohesive. You'll notice, like I'll take a little bit of pink, add it to this, add a little green to this, add a little blue to it. All of those colors are already in here. And let's do some purple. This should be about ready to go. Yep. So it's still moving. This is wet. I get that nice organic look where it's dry in the middle. It's not moving at all. This one moved a lot, but I like it. Oh, yeah, I forgot to put the edge on that vase. We don't see what you might consider an oops. That's funny. Thank you. All right, and then maybe a little bit of yellow. Let's lighten that green up a little bit more. That might be too bright, but it looks really good with that pink. Let's see. That's good. Okay, and then these should be almost ready where I can add just a little bit of maybe another red in here. Again, make it kind of cohesive so all of those colors are kind of in there, but I have, orange, a pink, and a bright pink flower in there. Let's see, when finished, do you seal them? I don't seal my watercolors unless I'm going to put them on wood. Like I do the same thing that Kimberly has done, but I do it with watercolor, and I do have to seal the wood with like a gack to seal the wood, because with watercolor paper, the acid can leach into the watercolor paper. So it's really important to seal the wood for that. I know with Yupo, it's plastic, so it probably doesn't have any effect on it. But I will seal those with like a wax. There's a Dorland's wax that you can use. And there's also a spray. They have watercolor spray, like a UV spray where you can spray them. But I usually will recommend that folks, and it's a little bit more expensive, but if you keep them out of, just like with alcohol inks, if you keep them out of the sun and you put them behind like a UV glass, you don't have to spray them. Let's see, I maybe have a little bit of that purple Let me add a little bit of that in there. I have a little bit more time, right? Do I have more time? I'm still good.
Yeah, like 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. Because we're gonna do our little drawing. So I'm gonna add that little bit of purple in there. This is where you can start to really play and just kind of fill things in. Just like with Kimberly's, you can pop in some other little flowers if you want to. Let's bring one down here. So I'm going to turn this paper, since this is actually smaller, I can actually do it. It's just this little dotting motion. You get your little main line in there. And you can do the same thing by adding some other darker values in there to really make them pop. That one looks like it might be in the shade. Kind of droop in there, isn't it? And add some to this one as well. So again, just dotting a couple extra colors in there, doing the same thing. You can even do the centers by adding some white. So for watercolor, I mean, you usually use the white of the paper, but you can also use something like bleed proof white, Dr. Martens. This actually reactivates with water. You can also use something like a white gouache. Let's just put some of this in here so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to switch my brushes. So you can see it's somewhat liquid. And you can just stick your little brush in there. You can also use the pens, like I said before. And I always use the cap. Just take off a little excess. But you can go ahead and dot. That's not bright white. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more. So this is more opaque. But again, just like the white with like snow cap or something, if you dot it while it's wet, it'll soften a little bit. And it won't be quite as bright white. Have you ever used salt? That we have alcohol ink painting. Salt on the watercolor? Yes, I love it. It's funny you should say that, because in my group in May, we're doing a challenge on my Facebook page. And you guys are welcome to head over there and join if you want. But we're using salt as one of the textures for this week coming up. Do I have the paper right here? Let me grab it really quick and show you. This is a smaller one. So yeah, so this is like the salt technique here. And I mean, it just happens so organic. It's like it makes the painting for you. This is the whole background was all salt, and then I just did the birch trees over the top of it, and with all the different colors. And we actually talk about different salts and what they do and when to put it on there, because the timing with salt is very important, as well as the type of salts, because there's a lot of different types of salts. But yeah, you could do that with this. It would actually be very pretty. And the other thing is let salt dry naturally. Don't hit it with a blow dryer with watercolor. Kelly, how would you soften a petal if you have hard edges? Okay, good question. So let me see if I've got this one now. Depending on what color it is, some colors are more staining than others. But like this one has been dry for a long time. I'm just going to take my brush, I wet it, and I'm just going to scrub on it. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. Like I said, sometimes the colors are more staining than others. But I can go back in now and I can just I could add some over the top of that if I wanted to. Don't like that color, but let's just make a new one. I don't know what this one is, but some kind of puffball. But you can soften the edges. It's much easier. Like that pink is a really staining color, so that's a hard one. But you also could do, like if you have, let's say that's a little petal. Let me let that dry for a little bit. But as it starts to dry, if you just take some water, if you catch it in time, you can just soften edges this way too, by just adding a little water to it. I know it's different when it dries. You do get those hard edges. Actually, let me try it here with this green. Let's see if this is a staining green or not. I come in, I'm just going to wet that whole thing. Tap off the excess. Yeah, that one I can soften a little bit more. But edging is always hard with watercolors because you have to kind of expand on that. Look. So we'll make that one. Let's make it a poppy. I don't know. Either turn it into something else or you do something else with it. Actually, I could put salt on that one now. Let's see. I like to improvise. So there's a little salt. I'll show it to you later when it dries, what it looks like. This petal fell down here. I mean, you can have so much fun with it. All right, any other questions? This one's drying too. I don't even know what one I did tonight. This is the one I did. I'd love to
Does
see
anybody
somebody.
want to show what they've been working on?
Oh, good. You're welcome. Just
We'll
read the
show
chat.
her up here.
Oh, Deb.
We'll show, this is Karen.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a couple here whenever.
Spotlight.
We got Deb.
Ooh.
Wow.
My face is beautiful.
Oh, I love that color of the base. That's gorgeous.
Thanks.
Good job.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
Maybe I don't
Anybody
like
else?
Sure, I've got a
Yeah, I'll
couple here.
go.
Just say your
Multiple
name
Karen.
so I.
Karen.
Okay, Karen. There we are. Okay.
This is my attempt
Oh.
here. And my
Oh,
daughter.
so
Oh, sorry.
sweet.
That is so cute.
Nice.
Look at
Oh, I
that.
love it.
I've never done any watercolor, so this is just
Really?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Thank you so much for the
Yeah,
teaching.
really,
That's
really
because
good.
Kelly's such a great teacher.
Yes, I'm
Aw.
amazing. Like I do.
And she is.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I have
anybody
one.
else?
Okay, I
Kool-Aid.
can. Beth?
I have one.
I'll show mine.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Kimberly. Oh my gosh, how
Whoa.
sweet. I love it.
Thank
So
you.
pretty. Look
Well,
at the
this one
purple.
had, I tried to fix some hard edges and it just kind of went rogue, but that's
You just go with it. That's
I
right.
love
Just go
it.
with it.
It looks
Thank
like an
you.
orchid. It looks like an orchid, I think.
Yeah, it
Oh,
does.
thank you.
Beautiful.
Oh, pretty.
Okay,
Thank you.
anybody else?
Yes, Kool-Aid.
Carmen?
I have one.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
so
let me
excited you guys all
Let
have
me find you.
watercolors.
There you are. Hold on a second. Oh,
Nice.
Me too.
Wow. I'm so
It
And it
looks
has a
Hawaiian
Hawaiian
again.
look.
It
looks like-
does.
It does look like Hawaii. Yes.
Like hibiscus or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sprigs that balances nicely.
Yeah. I need to.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Anybody
Very
else?
pretty.
Carmen?
Soft with mine because
And
I made everything bleed.
Carmen, do you have something? Okay,
Yeah.
let me see.
We're still on audio.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So
Beautiful.
cute.
Bit of a challenge. I thought and it's still not drying. My paints are rolling around. I think I added too much water.
Yeah, it takes some practice, doesn't it? That's why this is a great thing to do if you do like a whole sheet of just like the flowers and try different colors, because different colors will mix differently too.
Yes.
Different colors are like, some have like a stronger pigment.
Now,
and
that one dried okay. That was my first
beautiful.
when I was
That's-
playing
yeah.
around
Yeah.
at the first part. But
Oh, nice.
Love your colors. So you guys
Anybody
can cut
else?
that up and you can make bookmarks out of
Susie.
them.
Susie, let's do
Susie.
Susie. Woo!
Oh,
Gorgeous.
Just one
nice.
sheet. Yeah.
Look at that.
I love your vase. Your vase is so
Thank you.
pretty.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and your
Beautiful.
leaves and your
Absolutely
petals.
beautiful.
Okay. Practice.
Practice. Yes.
Right.
Just do a whole sheet of leaves.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome.
Great job, you
Thank
guys.
you.
Barbara had mentioned too, if anybody wants to post later, where can that be done? So that would be would they be able to do that in the event, in the group?
You
or
could do it
either
in the
on
event, or you could do it in the if you belong to the
Make Time to
Make Time to Create.
Yeah.
The Make Time to Create is a big hub for Kelly, Kimberly, and I, not only
Yeah.
for our 15-minute challenges, but for these workshops as well. So that would be a great place to post it. And I will put the link to that Facebook group in the chat. Most of you probably already know, because I recognize your names as people who
Yeah.
have shared what they've created. But that would be a great place to put them.
So, and I'll try to get the links for you guys on all that other stuff. Actually, while Beth's doing her thing, I could put it probably here in the chat for you for the gold. And does anybody want to know about the bleed proof white? I don't think I had that listed
Yes.
there either.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Kelly, do you want to talk about the workshop that you're going to be offering as a giveaway?
Yeah, actually, it's my watercolor affinity class, and it is a great one if you're new to watercolor, because I go through everything from brushes to paints and paper, and then there's a lot of practice sessions in there. It was a 6-week course that I combined all into a smaller one. Carmen, I think you took that one. Did you take that one?
Yes.
The watercolor affinity, and then there's a watercolor affinity 2. So if you like that one and you want to go further, the watercolor affinity 2 just dives in a little bit deeper. But it's mostly seascapes and things like that, skies, trees, all that fun stuff.
And Kelly, I
Awesome.
think Pat is asking for your Facebook link, maybe the group that you're doing coming up.
Look that up. I'm like, no.
In the dungeon.
It's really dark in here now. When I move that light, I'm like, holy cow. Where's everybody?
She would like your Facebook link. I think you talked about your group that's coming up.
Yes. Okay. Yep. I will put that in there.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay,
Thank you.
well, we're shaking the manual giveaway
Who's
prize wheel,
winner?
and the winner is Kelly's workshop. Susie Bauer.
Yay!
Susie!
Oh, Susie's on here
Yay!
tonight.
That's outstanding.
Awesome.
Good.
Yay, Susie.
Thank you.
So Kelly will reach out to you how to get that.
Okay.
Yep. I'll get
Sounds
you a
good.
coupon so you can sign up for free.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay,
Yay.
any other questions for Kelly? Okay, we're into our third trimester.
Oh, wow.
And that's what it feels like.
Going all the way. Baby is being
I'm bringing it
born.
home. I'm going to bring it home.
Get it on the plate.
Yep.
Get it on the plate. So I am Beth Kluth, and my first love is alcohol ink. I mean, that's what I've been doing for more than 10 years. But I love all other kinds of ink, any kind of like very fluid medium. And so acrylic ink is something that I love to create with. But even fountain pen inks that are made for fountain pens, you can buy those in bulk and use them as like a paint, because some of them are very transparent. Some of them have a shimmer or just like a very different kind of look and effect than even India ink or calligraphy ink. I mean, there's so many different kinds of inks out there. So tonight, my focus is on acrylic ink, and we're going to be working on canvas. If you don't have a canvas, you can work on watercolor paper. That's absolutely fine. I just thought it'd be fun to try to do something on canvas. And I wanted to try to do something with a very limited palette. You don't need to have every color under the sun. of acrylic ink or even acrylic paint if you're working with acrylic paint. Just very quickly, the difference between acrylic ink and alcohol ink is one is water-based and one is alcohol-based. And so, yeah, they don't really play well together. Alcohol ink is dye-based. Acrylic ink is pigment-based. So it has pigments in it similar to acrylic paint. However, it's in a more liquid form. But it isn't just acrylic paint watered down with water. If you water down acrylic paint too much, you really sort of destabilize it. And so acrylic paint or acrylic ink, I'm sorry, is made to have the same vibrancy and saturation as the paint, but in a liquid form. Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like I'm just like rambling now. And now I know Kellie and Kimberly, I know exactly what we're talking about. Like when you think you're just like blah, 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 talking. So I have only, you know, I might just use like 3 colors here. In my supply list, I do list 3 colors. One is to have some kind of a pink. I'm working with Deep Violet by Liquitex. A blue, and I'm working with Prussian Blue Hue by Liquitex. And then for yellow, I have a fluorescent yellow. I also have a process yellow or brilliant yellow. Either or will work because we're mainly working on a floral. We're going to add a little yellow, and then we need to have a green. You could purchase a green acrylic ink. You can mix them. So I want to sort of show you how just even with some sort of basic primary colors, you can mix a lot of different colors. Okay, so I am going to flip my camera around onto my table, get this set up, get it up high enough so you can see the whole canvas. If you don't have a 8x10 canvas, obviously you know, any kind of canvas is going to work. And again, if you don't have a canvas, you can also use watercolor paper. It's absolutely fine. I have the various inks here. And then one of the big tools that I'm going to be working with is a glass dip pen. So you might be familiar with like calligraphy pens, which are also dip pens. Anything that you're going to dip into an ink and use it is a dip pen. But this glass dip pen, I think it's so fancy. It's so beautiful. And it has these like swirls on the end, and the ink just sort of like gets sucked right up into that. And then you can use it for drawing. And I just feel like it gives you a much more organic line than any kind of a acrylic paint pen or any kind of other regular pen. So that's why we're going to use it tonight. So I also have a palette here. You can use a palette to mix colors, or I ordered these on Amazon. I think they're called like shot glasses. And so this big box came with 400 shot glasses. And my husband's like, why do you need 400 shot glasses? I'm like, well, it's for my art.
And if not, you'll have another purpose for it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's for my art. That's what it's for. And so these are just great. You can also buy condiment cups at, you know, like your grocery store. I'm sure they have them with little covers. It just helps if you want to mix up colors to use with your dip pen. All right. I'm going to get my tops off. The thing with acrylic inks, also, they have to be shaken up because they have a pigment in there. And so I'm gonna get them shaken up and just sort of they all have this like little squeegee or little dropper, which is nice. And if you're just using them yourselves, you can just dip your pens right in these bottles. You don't need to have these little cups, but this is good for mixing colors to get new colors. All right. So the composition of this is just mainly 3 main florals and then some leaves coming off of the side. It does have, though, a little bit of a color in the background. If you can tell between, I don't know, it's hard to tell on the screen, but there is a little bit of a yellow background between, instead of just having plain white. So I think we'll do that first. So in addition to my glass dip pen, and I do have a link in the supply list. You can get these on Amazon. My one suggestion is going to be to buy one that comes in a box, and it's going to show you that it comes in a box. Otherwise, you can see a link that has like 5 or 6. Like you can get 6 of these for $12, but unless it shows that it comes in a box, probably half of those are going to be broken by the time they arrive at your home. So definitely get the kind that comes in a box. And I do have a link in the supply list where I got mine on Amazon. In addition, you can have really like any kind of brush. You could use a flat brush, a round brush, or a dagger brush. Anything, mine are pretty big because it's mainly for just transporting water. Because after you get your ink lines down, all you really need is water to get the color to move. All right, so I am going to start with a little bit of yellow. I'm going to put it in my my palette here. And I have 2 glasses of water. I have a clean glass and a dirty glass.
After that.
And so I go into my clean water whenever I'm going to be actually painting anything. And then the dirty water is for cleaning my brush. So I'm going to get some clean water and I'm just going to stick it in this well here with the yellow. And I'm just going to, oh, wow, that is fluorescent. I'm just going to as much as we can on here. And this is just a regular canvas. It's not, it's primed. When you purchase them, I got this at probably Hobby Lobby or Kohl's. They're already come pre-primed. And so you just need to get a little bit of color on here. It doesn't even have to be even because most of this is going to be covered with the flowers. But it's just sort of nice to have a background so it's not just a bright white background behind your flowers. Although, I mean, that's not terrible either. Put down here. And the more organic, the better. On screen, you can hardly see that it's there, but in person, you will notice a difference when you have sort of a little bit of a tone in the background. Oh, somebody said, good, I don't know how to use my glass pen. Well, now I'm going to show you. So I'm going to clean my brush in my dirty water. And then I like working on these puppy pads because you can just wipe it off on here, or you can wipe it off on a napkin. And so when you buy a glass dip pen, or if you're using a calligraphy pen, sometimes there is a coating on the end, not an oily coating, but some kind of a repellent coating. And really the best way to get that off is just by dipping it into ink. Just dipping it into ink is going to help. I'm going to dip this in here. You can see I necessarily don't want to get it all the way.
Beth, Barbara's asking if you do that to give it depth.
Pardon?
Barbara's asking if you do that to give it depth. I think she's talking about adding the yellow.
Well, and it's mainly just so it's not bright white. It's just nice to have some kind of a little color in the background. It could be it could be even aqua. It's just something super light that yes, gives it a little bit of interest rather than just having it flat on white canvas. So I dip it in here. You don't necessarily have to go past this little glass bulb, but you want to get it into all of these little cracks, these little swirls that are in the dip or in the tip. And so what I'm going to do is just very loosely, I am just going to like make these sort of circular motions. And you can also see that because the background is still a little wet, it's sort of you know, it blooms a little bit. It bleeds a little bit, and that's okay. I'm going to get another one up here. And you'll notice I'm holding this way at the end so that my marks are very organic. And then I'll do this other one out here. And this is just sort of getting the shapes. And then once you have those in there, what I like to do is just go in a little bit. I might actually, while this is on here, I did have on here optional a blow dryer. So I'm going to just quick dry this a little bit. And just even that is enough to like let you go back in here and do a little bit more definitive work. Whereas those first layers, because it was still so wet in the background, they bled through. Now when I do these layers and I do these lines, they're going to stay a little bit more solid and a little bit more bold. So I'm going to go through these again. Okay. So the first lines bled out a little bit. The second lines, because it was more dry, they stayed a little more solid. All right. Now I'm going to go in from the outside. I'm going to go in and just do some more just very loose like outlines, right? This is not necessarily a rose. It's not necessarily a peony. This is not necessarily any kind of real flower. So I'm just going to go and going to do some outlines here. Now, one thing you can do is if you want this flower to be sort of looking upwards, the center of that flower is going to be right here. If you want the flower to be more straight on, the center is going to be in the center. You want this to be sort of out here. So that's one way that you can make these flowers look like they are pointing in specific directions is by where you put the centers. And I'm just going to go around. Again, it's just scribbles, really. But it's so fun to do. And some of them can be thicker and some of them can be thinner.
Beth, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, I have these glass pens, and when I go and put it on it, it doesn't want to do anything, and all of a sudden there's a blob that comes on. And I can go around and around and I get nothing on my, you know, it's just
Try
like blob.
putting that pen into the ink and
Okay.
then wipe it off, and then
Okay.
wipe it off,
Okay.
and then put it back in the ink.
Okay.
It's almost like priming it. Because
Oh, okay.
sometimes they do have, sometimes depending where you get that, they might have a coating on it where
Right.
the ink will not stick.
Uh-huh.
And so really the best way is just to keep putting it into that ink and wiping it off.
Okay.
And you'll get all of a sudden to a point where that tip is stained
Right.
because the ink is starting to stick.
Uh-huh.
The other thing is with your canvas, you have to sort of play around with even like tipping your pen a little bit to the side to get
Okay.
thicker lines.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that helped.
Yeah,
Okay.
because doing it straight down like this, you're going to get
Yeah.
very thin lines.
Yeah.
But if you tip it to the side, you're going to get thicker lines.
Okay.
And your canvas will start to either, to take the ink in different ways.
Right. All right. Thank you.
And the best part about this is that all of these kind of variables where it got really thick and really feathery here, and it's really thin here, they end up actually helping your painting in the long run. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a brush. I could take a flat brush. I can take any kind of brush. And if I start to pull it next to those lines, I start to pull that color out. So I'm just using water. And when I go over those lines, now the ink from those lines starts to get pulled into the flower itself.
Hey, Beth, Barb was asking if you don't have a dip pen, is there anything else that you could use?
You really sort of need a calligraphy pen or a dip pen of some sort. You could use like a liner brush. It's not going to be, we'll never get that thin though. You're never going to get the super, super thin lines that that you can get with a dip pen that you can get with a liner brush. But you could put a liner brush in here and it's going to be a thicker line. And again, as long as you do it sort of very haphazardly,
I'm using a kitchen skewer.
yeah, that works,
like for a shish kebab.
Absolutely.
It'll give you a really thin line.
I would say in the back of my paintbrush, or I have a Sharpie as well.
Yep, absolutely. The thing that those all work, it's just that when you have this dip pen, the ink goes into those swirls and you're able to draw for a very long time. Whereas if you dip the end of your brush into the ink, you have to keep dipping and dipping and dipping and dipping. But it will work. And so this really does look like a mess. But the good thing is that it's supposed to look like a mess. It's supposed to look very
Pat was
organic.
asking about Posca pens.
Pardon?
Pat was asking about Posca pens.
Well, the thing with Posca pens, they are acrylic paint, and I don't think you're going to get the same look when you add water to it. So acrylic ink, these lines are very dark, but they're water soluble. And so as you add water on a brush, it's going to blend out. I am not sure that you're going to get that same look with a Posca pen, because it's more an acrylic paint than it is an acrylic ink, if that makes sense. So Before I start to get more into this, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to the center of these. And so I could do that just by, I can just drip some of this right on the center. And then use a brush to sort of blend it around a little bit. That yellow mixes with the pink. It makes it a little bit of an orange color, but you definitely do get sort of a center there. And then I just like to go back and just keep adding these very organic lines because those look like the ruffled petals of a flower. And you can just keep adding more and more of those. And then you can keep going back and adding a little bit more water to sort of blend that color out. It's very much experimentation. But I just love the contrast of the very dark lines against the more sort of watery washes that you can get. And then we can start to get into mixing colors for our leaves and those kind of things. Now, on my original painting, I then added some darkness into the centers here. And you can do that just by adding any kind of blue that you have. So let me add, first I'm going to add a little bit of this blue to the yellow. And that's going to make my green. I'll just use my brush to mix that up. But when you add the yellow and the blue ink, look at that beautiful green color that you get. And so once I clean off my dip pen, and all you have to do is swish that around in water. To clean your dip pen, you just swish that around in water and then wipe it off. It might still look a little bit stained with whatever color you had on there, but it's pretty clean. And then you can use, again, palette. You just sort of twist this in the palette and look at how it picks up all that ink. And then you can start to add leaves to your composition. Mainly the first thing, just like with the flowers, I just start with lines. I just want to start with lines, not filling anything else in. And you can do some vein work if you want, or just regular lines. Again, when you go on the side of your pen, you're going to get those very thick lines. When you're more 45-degree angle, you're going to get those thin lines. But I really feel like it's the combination of those that makes it most interesting. And even once you get all this, sort of outlining in with your leaves, you can go ahead and add a little more yellow to your green, come up with different shades. Put some of that in there. And then just come in with these sort of very watery washes. And if your watery washes wash it down too much, you can always go back and add more with your dip pen. Quite frequently go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. At this point, I'm going to take my blow dryer again, and I'm going to try to dry what I have on here so that I can continue to put more layers on there. Sorry, didn't expect it to take that long. It's not even all the way dry, but I wanted to get a little bit more dry so that I can continue to put a few more layers on here. Barb says, wish my microphone worked. So are you not able to unmute yourself? If anything, if you have questions for me, please just put it in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to continue. I'm going to clean my brush off from the green. Oh, technical issues on her side. I'm going to go back into my pink. And again, you can just keep layering these lines. And as you add more dark and solid lines, you just start to add so much more dimension to these flowers. And then I'll do a couple more up here too. It's very therapeutic because you do not have to be careful.
So funny you say that. I was just about to say how therapeutic this is.
It is. It's like,
and you said
just
it.
keep going around and around and around. And I could even go into this green, which is meant for my leaves. But if I start to add a little bit of that into the center of these flowers, that can look really pretty too. It's like, there's no limit to what you can do here. And if you do get color, too much color than what you really had wanted, same as like Kelly did with her watercolors, you can just use a napkin and sort of pick up some of that. And then you can sort of re-evaluate and and maybe add more of a different color. So if I go into my dark green again, I can now start to create more layers on my leaves. Again, they can be veining or just outlines. There's no wrong way to do this. I feel like just having the variation of dark and light is the main thing. All right. I'm going to clean out my brush. And I'm sort of reevaluate here. What do I feel like I need? Think anywhere I just need some layers where the ink is a little bit darker, a little bit thicker. Just sort of drag it on there. And I might add a little bit of this Russian blue in the middle of my flowers too. This in here. Ooh. Yeah, that sort of turquoise blue looks really pretty in there. Yeah. It is a little bit, it's very intuitive, just sort of like go with what you think, but pulling that blue color in sort of pulls it all together with the leaves. Cool. Right there. Yeah, I mean, until this dries, I won't know if I really need anything more, but as of right now, I really like how it's looking. Another thing that you could add to this is that same bleed proof white that Kellie was using with her watercolors. You could add in some highlights if you wanted. But I sort of feel like this is at a good place. I could also mix pink and yellow together to get an orange color and add that in. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Just add some of the yellow. So I just added some bright yellow and some orange in there. Mix this up. Well, it's not really too orangey. Need a little more. Eh, not really orangey, but well, when I put it on there, it certainly looks a little more orangey. Just add a little bit of that here and there. That certainly adds a little bit of interest there. This one is definitely a little bit more colorful. And what you could do is to overall give it a more cohesive look is just go over the whole thing with a little bit of water. Just going over that whole thing with water alone. Any of the ink that's still movable, if you will, is going to spread around. Yeah, that looks really nice. So alcohol inks you can wipe off with alcohol. So if you make a mistake, can you fix? What about acrylic inks? They reactivate with water. Are they permanent? When they dry, they are permanent. But while they're still wet, and they definitely stay wet longer than alcohol ink, while they're still wet, yes, you can lift with a paper towel. I could wet this, and but the canvas is porous, and so it is going to stain with the color of the acrylic ink. There's no way you're going to pull it off like you can with alcohol ink. But while it's still wet, you can lift quite a bit. See what I can do here. On this leaf, oh, I mean, you can definitely see where I'm lifting up this ink because it was still wet. And I can lighten, but then I could go back and I could add more darker veins. I even sort of like having in the leaves themselves a little bit of this pink. Why not? Add that in there. So any other questions? Let me see. I think maybe I missed something. Yeah, it is really acrylic ink is very unique. I love it's very organic, not as organic as alcohol ink, but it's still organic and it's very vibrant. That's one of the things I love about it. Let me see. I'm going to see how much more I can lift here. Like if I put a lot of water in the center of this leaf, clean piece of paper towel. I mean, I can lighten that area quite a bit right here. But once it is completely dry, then you sort of lose that ability because it is permanent after it dries. Any other questions? My tutorial went a little quicker than the other ladies. I'm going to see. White. It looked like.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Very
Put a
pretty.
little speckles in the center just to sort of lighten them up a little bit. That's definitely something that you could do.
Do you ever splatter with your acrylic ink?
I was about to do
Oh,
that.
definitely.
I was about to do that too.
You know me in the splatter. Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Whenever,
Yep.
like I got a little bit of green splatter up here when I was just putting the ink on because I was being very aggressive about it. But definitely you could splatter it. And I do
like
love
it.
the splattering with white is really pretty.
Stephanie also was asking if you have to wear a mask when working with it like alcohol inks.
No, because it's more like watercolor. It's water-based, so there are no fumes. So that is a plus for sure. And again, once this is dry, I could come back then and do more layers of more transparent inks. So the inks themselves can be opaque, semi-transparent, or transparent. And I would just want to show on this label. I don't know if you'll be able to see it because it's like so close, but probably can't see it.
No.
But this one is transparent. So this is Prussian blue hue, and they have a little square. And if it's white, means it's transparent. If it's black, it's opaque. And if there's a little half of it's white and half of it's black means it's semi-transparent.
Yep, it's the same with watercolor. They do that too.
Yeah. And this one is this is deep violet. This is semi-opaque.
Such a
So
pretty color.
that really makes a difference in how you layer. So your top layers you want to have as transparent as possible so that you can see the bottom layers through it and get that depth.
Pat was also asking if you could use a silicone potter's tool to remove acrylic ink.
Not really. Again, because you're working on a porous surface, like canvas, it's soaking in right away. And so it's not the same as that, synthetic paper that you use with the alcohol ink, where you can pretty much lift it up. This is soaking in, but you can, if you can get it wet while it hasn't dried fully, you can get it very wet and then just pick up a little bit with a paper towel. But unlike acrylic or unlike alcohol ink, you're not going to be able to lift it up, with silicone or a credit card or anything like that.
Great questions, you guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very different animal. It's like, it's more like watercolor or acrylic paint than it is like alcohol ink. But it just happens to be called an ink because it's liquid. And you can use it on canvas. You can use it on watercolor paper, mixed media paper.
I'm using mineral paper tonight.
Or mineral paper. Now, mineral paper is a little bit more non-porous, so it's going to take longer to dry on there, but it can be really pretty. Yeah.
But I love the way it moves on mineral paper. It's really pretty.
Yes.
Trudy said it's very pretty, Beth.
Thank you.
It is. It's gorgeous.
Any other questions about acrylic ink?
I don't see anything in the chat.
All right. Well, then I am going to I don't have any acrylic ink work online classes up yet. I'm hoping to do that this summer. So I do have a number of alcohol ink online classes. And so what I'm giving away is access. You can pick 2 of the alcohol ink workshops that I have on my website right now. Or if you want to wait, I'm hoping that in June or July, I release an acrylic ink workshop and you can wait for that. So let me get the names here. Oh, here, I'm gonna flip myself around and and remove my spotlight. Okay. Okay, our third giveaway winner is Kellie Benton.
Yay!
Woo! Congratulations. So you can, I will reach out to you, but you can either have 2 of my alcohol ink workshops or wait until I do an acrylic ink workshop.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
Are we going to show them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
Oh,
want to
yes,
see your
absolutely.
painting.
Did anybody paint along? Do you want to show?
I did,
Okay,
Susie.
I'm gonna
Susie.
do.
Oh, pretty.
Oh, look, hers looks
Oh,
Oh, that's
fun.
beautiful.
Look at the
Yeah.
texture. I
Use
love
your
the
blues
texture.
again. I
Thank
love
you.
that.
was
Love
fun.
it.
beautiful.
I had a dip pen, so it worked really well.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to. All right. Anybody else want to show?
I have one.
Julie? Okay, I'm gonna do.
Oh,
Oh, God, I can
Oh,
never
Love
get
wow.
That looks
Here.
big.
love
It
it.
does.
It's
What
a-
size is that?
10 by 10.
Oh, wow.
That's nice. So you
Excellent.
did
I went
that
with
in
purple.
class.
Love it. Love it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Kimberly, thank you. You know, I have 2 of these pens. I couldn't get it to work. So I went and
Oh.
grabbed my skewers.
Oh, nice.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
I'll show mine, Karen.
Okay,
Karen.
let me find you. All right, here we go.
Oh,
There we go.
Catherine,
This is
nice.
Deb. I did not have a dip pen, but I baked it.
Oh, that
Well,
looks good.
you know what?
Looks
It-
great.
it's beautiful. It's
got it.
absolutely
I love
beautiful.
it.
The main thing is you're going to get these dark lines down, and then you're going to use the water to sort of subdue them.
Yeah, it wasn't doing that as easily. I was using watercolor paper and it just sort of really dried quickly. So
Yeah.
I baked
Okay.
it.
Anybody else?
I'll go, Karen.
Karen. Okay.
Here's mine.
Oh, so beautiful.
Love it.
I love your wiggly lines. I love that.
I know. It was the first time I've ever used a dip pen. I did order that, so that's fun. It was fun.
Isn't it fun?
Love it.
Yeah, it turned out great. I really enjoyed it
Yeah.
That's exciting.
and learned a lot too.
Yay.
I'll show
Anybody
mine.
else?
I've got one.
Kimberly?
Where
Yeah.
are you?
Okay, hold on. I have to find you. Wait, I have to find. There you are. Okay, hold on.
Aw.
Oh,
I like
I've got
look at how colorful.
I put
Very
some
pretty.
gold in there. Can you see the gold?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Nice.
Love it.
Thank you. I love
And
that. Was
all
so
the
much
colors
fun.
in your leaves. I love all the colors in your leaves.
Oh wow, what is this on my face here?
Pink ink.
I
That's
got
why
some
you need
ink on
glasses.
there. Haven't even looked at myself. Like wow. Okay.
The birthmark.
Oh my gosh. Does anybody else want to
Yep.
share?
I'll show mine.
Carmen, is that
I got a
you?
little carried away.
Aw.
Oh, and you put a
Nice.
She's got a
vase
vase.
in.
With a vase.
Wow.
I had a
Nice.
much larger canvas than I should have had. So
So you had some space to use.
I needed to fill some space.
That's beautiful.
Great.
Beautiful. All right. Did I miss anybody?
I did it. I did one. But
Oh yeah, Kelly.
Let me
It's
see.
all-
Let me see. Wait,
all
hold on,
watercolor
hold on.
paper.
There's Kelly. Okay, hold on there.
Oh, so pretty.
Gorgeous.
Of course.
Is that watercolor or is that
It's
acrylic
all,
ink?
yeah, I did watercolor. Yeah.
But and is that the white?
I used everything. I threw everything at this. You name it, it's on there. I used gold pen,
Awesome.
black Sharpie, bleed proof white.
Excellent.
That's so
Fun.
pretty.
Thanks. That was fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I had a blast.
Was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was fun.
We got a lot done.
Yep. Make sure you all post your paintings in the group, in the Make
Yes.
Time to Create group. Yeah, so we can all see them a little bit better and admire them forever.
If by chance you aren't a member of the Make Time to Create group, I will put the link in the event for this event.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, do you want me to add it? I probably can
Yes,
add it here in the
please.
chat.
And then also, probably within the next 2 to 3 days, we'll send out a link to the recording so that, you know, if you didn't paint along and you want to rewatch it, or you did paint along, but you want to rewatch it anyway, you can rewatch it as many times as you want until the end of the year.
Okay. Practice.
Absolutely. There, I just added it.
Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome. There's all kinds of things in there. Susie,
Yes,
I put the link
I
to the
see.
class you won too, and I'll send you a coupon code.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kelly. I see that.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I need to click on that.
Yeah. Click on it and save it.
Okay. Save.
Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, thank you, ladies. That was
Thank you.
fun.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay,
Sleep
bye.
well. All those little things, creative juices are just flowing. You guys are gonna be up all night.
And I can't wait to see what you guys created.
Me too.
So post those photos.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks
All
for
right.
sharing
Good
all your
night.
recipes.
Good night. Thanks,
Good
Trudy.
night.
Oh, we should do a
Bye.
picture, a screenshot.
Oh yeah.
Let's do
Oh,
that real
okay.
quick. You guys want to hold yours up? I only can
Hold a
I
painting
only
up.
have one. I only have one.
can't even see it. All right.
Yeah.
Peace.
Okay, somebody gonna do the picture?
Yes, you are.
I'll put, oh, Susie's up there too. Hold on. Oh, everybody's on now. Hold on. Let me wait. Let me do it again.
Okay.
All right. We're ready? 1, 2, 3. Cheese.
Cheese.
Got it.
Okay.
I'll put that in the
Awesome.
group.
On.
Oh, I
Thank
had mine
you.
upside down. Oh, well.
Did you have it
It
upside
still
down?
looked great. It was okay. It still looked great.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Fling. Kellie.
There you go.
Okay. Bye.
All
All
right.
right. Bye, everybody. That was fun.
Bye. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.